Hello everyone, my name is Janika. I am an expat from Finland, living in the Netherlands, and welcome to this video. So, this video is one that I originally didn't think I would film, if I'm honest. Already a while ago I made a video called 13 things that I love about the Netherlands, and you guys really liked that video. But in that video I also got a lot of comments about people pointing out the fact that the Netherlands is not perfect and that there's also a lot of negative things about the country, which is of course the case for all countries in the world. Additionally, I have also received some requests from you guys asking for me to make a video about things that I don't like about the Netherlands, and that's what we're gonna be discussing about today. The reason why I've been putting off filming this video, even though it's been requested, I know that there is gonna be probably some backlash. I can guarantee there's gonna be probably at least one comment saying something like, well, if you don't like it, then please just go back home. You know how it goes.
Stop it. Get some help.
Please, as a disclaimer, I mostly think very positively about this country. If you don't believe me, then please watch all of my other videos. I think it's quite clear there. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's dive into it. So the Dutch people are known to be a little bit frugal and careful with how they spend their money. And this can especially be noticed in something that I like to call the tiki culture. If you don't know, tiki is a mobile app that you use to request and send money to others. Nothing weird about the app itself. We have something very similar in Finland actually called mobile pay, which works exactly the same way. But I do think that the Dutch people take the use of these tikis to another level and ask for the most ridiculous small prices. I actually saw an article saying that last year in 2024 there was more than 1 million tikis sent for less than €1. What? I find it kind of ridiculous. I have a funny story that relates to this. Some years ago, me and some other girls were going to this event together, and some of those girls I knew from before and some of them were completely new people to me. So I thought it would be a fun and nice idea to organize a brunch for everyone at my place. So I invited the girls over. I also told them that, hey, this was on me. I wanted to treat you guys. You don't need to pay anything for the brunch. But there was this one girl, she asked me if I had bought any avocados for the brunch. And I told her, no, I actually haven't. But if you want to bring some, feel free. I'm sure others would also like to have some avocado with their brunch.
Avocado! Thanks!
Which she then did. But the thing was that afterwards, she actually sent everyone a tiki for 70 cents for the avocados. And we were maybe like 4 or 5 people in total. She even asked me to pay her 70 cents for the avocados after I had already treated her to the whole brunch, which was much more than 70 cents per person, let me tell you that. Also, as a small side note, if you're single and ready to mingle in the Netherlands, especially if you're a lady, don't expect the guys to pay for you on your first date. Even though it might seem like they're paying for the date, they will most likely send you a tiki afterward. And I actually had one friend who went on several dates with a guy and she had offered to pay for her part, but the guy told her like, oh no, it's on me, like I'm paying for this date, you don't need to pay anything. After a few dates, I think there was like 2 or 3 dates, she realized that maybe she wasn't that into the guy. So she decided to, you know, break it off. And then after that, the guy ended up sending her a tiki for the dates. That I also found quite ridiculous because she's already offered to pay on the get-go, but only until he didn't get the outcome he wanted. Then he asked her to pay for her part, which I find a little bit morally questionable, maybe. Then we get to healthcare. I already know that this is gonna ruffle some feathers, but if you're an expat like myself in the Netherlands, you would know that talking about the Dutch healthcare system is a very, very popular topic to complain about. So firstly, I find the healthcare here quite expensive, like compared to Finland. Personally, I pay €140 each month for my health insurance. That healthcare is only in place for very serious cases because your own risk is still quite high. I think it's like 300 350, between 400 euros usually, which I find is quite a lot. Every time I've gone to the doctor or had any medication, I've always had to pay for it, even though I'm already paying the 140 euros a month. In Finland, healthcare is pretty much free, and we also get compensation for medications that are even a little bit more pricey, but yeah. That is not the case here, I'm afraid. Secondly, it's actually quite hard to find a doctor here. So how it works here is that everyone registers to a specific general practitioner. You then go always to that same person, which on itself is fine. Maybe it's good to have one specific doctor who knows you a little bit better. Finding a GP available can be really difficult. Currently, I still have my GP back in Leiden, even though I live in The Hague. So every time I have to go to the doctor, it takes me super long, like an hour and a half, because also that GP is not like in the center of Leiden. It's like a little bit further away. And additionally, I have some medication that I have to pick up on a monthly basis, and I still have to go to Leiden to pick up the medication from the pharmacy there. I asked if they could send it to a pharmacy in The Hague instead, but no, for some reason that's not possible, and it's kind of annoying having to go to Leiden all the time. I am currently looking for a new doctor in The Hague, but it has taken me months and I still haven't found one. Every place is full, there's a long wait list. I am on some wait lists, so fingers crossed. Or you have to live on like a certain address to be allowed to go to certain doctors. Thirdly, not all of the GPs here are very good either. I must say though, the one that I've had, the one that I've had in Leiden has actually been pretty good, and I feel like he has taken me seriously. They have actually prescribed me medicine when needed, and I haven't had to beg for it.
Thanks.
Here it's a bit of a joke in the Netherlands that if you're sick, the doctors will only tell you to take paracetamol and wait a week and see how it goes before giving you any actual medication. Two stories. I have a friend who had a pretty severe eye infection, and the doctor basically just told her, you know what, wait a week. If you then still have it, I'll give you some eye drops. She waited, and yeah, she did eventually need those eye drops and just basically had to suffer for 1 week extra for no good reason. This one guy who had injured his foot really badly, and he was really sure that he had broken it, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, you know, I don't think it's broken. And the guy was like, but shouldn't you check, like take an x-ray, something? The doctor told them again, you know what, wait for a week, just try walking on it a bit carefully, and then if it's still hurting, we'll check. So the guy in agony tried to move around for a week, and then 1 week later he went back to the doctor, they took the x-ray, and the foot was indeed broken. Then the third thing that I do not like about the Netherlands is the housing market. The housing market here is absolutely insane. That is definitely something you need to keep in mind if you decide to move here, or if you already live here and want to move, then you probably already know how difficult it can be. Here there is a bit of a crisis on shortage on housing, which leads to the fact that it's a complete seller's market. People who are selling their apartment or renting out places have complete control over the situation. They can do and act however they want because they know people are so desperate that they will go along with anything. For example, about a month ago, I went to an apartment viewing. Usually these apartment viewings are, one, very hard to get in the first place. Two, they are during working hours, so you have to take time off work to be able to go to these housing viewings, which, you know, is not that easy always. There we were with like 30 people waiting for this realtor to come to see this apartment, and we waited for like more than half an hour and no one showed up. Then we called the renting company and they had forgot. They completely forgot that they had a viewing. Then they just were like, you know what? Just come tomorrow. We'll have it at the same time tomorrow. I just found it really rude and unfair for the people taking that time to come and view the apartment. Another good example, I have a friend who recently moved. She wasn't given the keys to the apartment until like 1 week into the month. Obviously, she asked like, hey, is it okay if I pay for only 3 weeks of the first rent because I'm only living here for 3 weeks? But no, the rental company told her you have to pay for the full month even though you don't get to live there for a full month. If you don't like it, then too bad, we'll give it to the next person. I don't even know how that's legal, to be honest, but things like this happen all the time here and it's extremely frustrating. A lot of the rental companies ask you for money for everything they can possibly come up with. The same apartment where they forgot to come to the viewing. Once you had viewed the apartment and you decided like, hey, I like this apartment, I want to apply for it. They told us that if you apply for it and get it, but then you decide that you don't want it anymore, there is a fine of 250 euros. Okay, I get it, they want people to be serious with their applications, but at the same time, it took them more than 2 weeks to let us know if we got the apartment or not, which we did not in the end. During that time, we weren't really able to apply for any other places because we had to wait for the confirmation first if we got that place or not, because we didn't want to pay for the fine. And the housing market is not much better for people looking to buy a place. The housing prices at the moment are absolutely insane. Also have to be prepared to overbid. Here in the Netherlands, it's normal to bid around 20 to 30% above the asking price. And these asking prices are already quite high. Something else that has been a bit of a culture shock for me here in the Netherlands, for sure, has been the wedding culture. As I mentioned before, the Dutch people can be a little bit frugal and they try to save money always when possible, which is also something that can be noticed in weddings. Here it's very typical to have quite a low-key wedding. It's not weird to just go to the city hall and then have some lunch and that's it, which is fine. Everyone can do how they want, of course. But I did have a friend who told me that they were invited first for the ceremony, but then for the wedding dinner, they were not allowed to attend that. So then they had to drive back home for a few hours. After the dinner, they still have like the drinks and the party. And for that, they were again invited. Basically, these people had a wedding, invited a bunch of people to the ceremony, then told like half of them, you know what, I actually don't want to pay for you to have dinner, you're not like important enough. Bye bye, go and have some dinner at home and see you later. I've been told by some Dutch people that, well, yeah, you only want to eat the dinner part with people that are very close to you, but why don't you just invite those people that are very close to you to begin with? Like, only invite those people and that's it. If I would be invited to a wedding but then told to leave in the middle of it and then come back, I find that a bit rude, and I don't know, I would feel embarrassed to do that. I do know it's very common here in the Netherlands that you first have the ceremony and the dinner with only the people that you're very close with, and then for the after party, then you invite more people. That I find a little bit more acceptable because at least you haven't told people to leave in the middle of the day. And yeah, then they're only coming for a little bit later. It's a little bit better. I still find that a little bit weird. We would never ever do something like that in Finland. Each to their own, I guess. Another thing that is very different in Dutch weddings versus Finnish weddings is that the Dutch people are much more like relaxed and laid back. Back in Finland, when we go to a wedding, it's pretty much an unspoken rule that everyone's wearing like a long dress, a black tie, everyone's very put together. But I was quite surprised to see that here in the Netherlands, it's not like that. I was at a wedding where a guy was wearing a t-shirt, cargo pants and dirty running shoes. At a wedding. My Finnish mind couldn't wrap my head around it, and I was already thinking like, oh no, like if I get married one day and I'm inviting some Dutchies there, I probably need to give them a dress code. And then the last, fifth thing that I want to talk about, I don't really know how to say it, but basically Dutch people not understanding broken Dutch. This is also a topic I've often discussed together with other foreigners living in the Netherlands, and it is something we can pretty much all agree on. Here in the Netherlands, if you're trying to learn the Dutch language, it's quite hard to practice it in real life. Because if you're, for example, at a restaurant trying to speak Dutch, if the waiter notices that you have an accent or that you're making mistakes, they will switch to English, which feels really disheartening. Luckily for me, I've had many times when they haven't switched to English and my Dutch has been good enough that I guess they didn't realize I was a foreigner, which has been a great win for me. I believe the Dutchies believe that they are helping that person to switching to English, making it easier, when actually it's not so nice for the person who is really trying to learn and speak the language. Back in Finland, we also of course have foreigners coming to the country, learning the Finnish language and trying to speak it. Most people who are learning Finnish will have quite a lot of mistakes, they will have a strong accent, all of that. But I would like to say that even if someone's speaking extremely broken Finnish to me with wrong pronunciations, wrong grammar, strong accent, 99% of the time I will still understand them and know what they're trying to say. Here, if I pronounce something in Dutch slightly wrong, like even a little bit, like none of the Dutch people will understand me. Everyone's like, huh? For example, recently I was trying to pronounce the name of a restaurant. The real name was Sushi and I said sushi. So I pronounced the Z as a S instead. Everyone was like, what? A lot of my friends have complained about this exact same issue with Dutch friends and boyfriends and family members and everything. So yeah, it's a little bit disheartening and annoying when trying to learn the language, but no can do. Those were the 5 things that I dislike about living in the Netherlands. I tried to come up with things that were a little bit less obvious, saying things like, I don't like the fact that it rains. I don't know, I find that a bit boring. And actually for me, the weather here is better than what it is in Finland, so I can't complain actually. Or yeah, I know a lot of people like to hate on the Dutch food, but I actually kind of like febo and stamppot and I love the Dutch pancakes and stuff. So yeah, it's nothing gourmet, but I don't mind. I quite like it, to be honest. I hope maybe if you're a foreigner also living in the Netherlands, you could relate to some of the things that I said. If so, please let me know. Also, please feel free to leave a comment if you maybe disagree with me. That's completely fine. You don't need to agree with everything that I said. These were my opinions and experiences. I'm gonna start wrapping up this video here. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel to join the journey. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys again on my next adventure. Bye bye!